So Kardama Muni is now continuing his reply to Swayambhuva Manu. The conversation between them is continuing here. This conversation is happening where? Bindusara. Yes. The banks of river Saraswati. So Kardama Muni was performing his austerities, and now Swayambhuva Manu appeared there and was proposing his daughter to get married. And we saw that how Swayambhuva Manu was very, very careful in proposing, so that Kardama Muni doesn't reject the offer. In a very cautious and well-mannered and way, he proposed how he should not reject. He had various logical propositions. And now Kardama Muni is replying back, and we are seeing here Kardama Muni is accepting the offer of Swayambhuva Manu, who came there along with his wife and daughter as well, Devahuti. And Kardama Muni, when he is accepting the offer, it's important to see that he is not just like that he is accepting. No doubt he had a desire to take up family life. He wanted to marry a suitable girl. But it was not like that, okay, somehow I'm getting someone, so let me get married. His selection was based on the understandings of the scriptures. In the previous verse, we could clearly understand, of course, here also Prabhupada highlights that in the purport. He had a clear consideration. He has his reservations. He had his conditions before accepting the marriage. Why he agreed to accept Devahuti? He's expressed that. Kardama Muni was clear that because Devahuti did not choose anyone else, or there was no previous agreement that someone else is chosen as husband, and now somehow it didn't happen, and now Kardama Muni is being offered. No, it was not like that. Prabhupada very clearly explains that this factor was important because a woman, if she gives her heart to a man, she will not forget the man for the rest of the life. So, considering this one of the important aspect, Kardama Muni agreed that yes, because your daughter has not yet married to anyone else, that was one consideration, and she has not given her word to anyone else. And this was according to the consideration of the scriptures. Unlike today, we don't see such kind of circumstances. We can see sometimes, marriages happen between man and the woman. They may have many previous commitments, but somehow it could have not happened. But now again, they will get into the system, and further it gets into so many complications. So we see such things happening in this age. But Kardama Muni had his own point why he agreed to accept Devahuti as his wife. And further in this verse, Kardama Muni is saying that I will fulfill your daughter's wish. Let your daughter's desire for marriage, which is recognized by the Vedic scriptures. The desire is not per se for the marriage is not wrong. But what is important is it recognized by the Vedic scriptures? Is the desire recognized by the Vedic scriptures? Kardama Muni is saying here, Kama sabhuya naradeva. let your desire be fulfilled. He is addressing to Swayambhava Manu as Naradeva. A king is supposed to be, an emperor is supposed to be representing the god. That's why he is addressed here as Naradeva. Syaputraha samannaya vidhau pratitaha. So your daughter, her desire to seek marriage is according to the Vedic scriptures. And further consideration he is saying here, ka evate tanayam nadriyeta. Ka evate tanayam. Who will refuse to marry? One of the aspect he is saying is, who will refuse to marry such a beautiful women? And Karda Muni is narrating here that her kantya, swavaiva kantya, her bodily lustre is so excellent that it even excels the beauty of the ornaments that she is wearing. That means when Devahuti came, she was a royal lady, naturally in the aristocratic family. There is an arrangement that they can be well bedecked with the ornaments. And ornaments are generally worn. By wearing ornaments, the beauty of the person comes up. The luster of the body grows up. Sometimes we get the picture of few celebrities with decoration and without makeup, with makeup and without makeup. So when someone wears bodily such kind of ornaments, so naturally beauty will come up. It will excel the beauty of one's body. The luster grows up. But here, sometimes it may be also possible that sometimes one may be so beautiful that beauty will increase the beauty of the ornaments. That's what Karda Muni is pointing out here. Now, someone may think that why Bhagavatam is talking about these things, talking about beauty of Devahuti, so much so that Karda Muni is trying to identify that so much so that she is beautiful that is even excelling the ornaments that she is wearing. Sometimes it may be quite confusing. Kardama Muni is a pure devotee. He is a great devotee and he is a renunciant. And why is this talked about in the Bhagavatam? That in the further verses, in the further, as we go ahead in the pages of, in the further sections of this episode of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, will understand how Kardama Muni gave up this family life. Devahuti was so much beautiful and so much so that, which is narrated here, in an ordinary state of family life, it may not be so easy to give up such a family life where wife is so beautiful, so much so that extraordinarily even beautiful than the ornaments that she wears. Her beauty is not dependent on the ornaments that she is wearing. That is the kind of excellence and beauty that she possessed. Devahuti is also a qualified lady, no doubt. She is definitely, from the material estimation, she was beautiful, but at the same time, she was a great devotee. She was a qualified woman. That was not the only consideration of Kardama Muni to get into or accept Devahuti. But what was important that when Kardama Muni wanted to renounce his family life, all these things was not an obstruction. So that is the important thing that has to be seen here. That even such an excellent beauty couldn't stop him to give up his family life. In an ordinary circumstances, we know that someone who gets into family life, Bhagavatam also says, the very same Bhagavatam also says elsewhere, that someone who takes up family life, Ata Suta Apta Vitta, as soon as he accepts a woman, then now he needs money because he has to maintain his family life. So to maintain the family, there is money that is required. Ata Suta, then there will be children. Then you would need money. Then he has to work hard, like practically Bhagavatam says, like an ass, to maintain the family life. And janasya moham aham mameti. He sees everything as mine and I. He relates everything to his body. So in that way, in the marriage life, one is supposed to actually, marriage life, even in the ashrama, marriage, grahastha ashrama, one is supposed to actually advance in spiritual life, but instead of advancing, he becomes a victim of aham mameti. So that's what happens today in the marriage life. That was the Bhagavatam, identified by the Bhagavatam. The current scenario is like this. But the point with Kardama Muni, that he was not attracted to this, to remain in family life eternally. And in modern circumstances, all these things will be an obstacle for a family man to give up his, renounce from family life and take up an engagement where he can now more focus in his spiritual activities. So these things become an obstacle for someone who wants to advance in spiritual life in the current scenario, provided he doesn't have a right understanding on what grounds he was supposed to get into the marriage life or the family life. But this doesn't stop the Kardama Muni, that we will understand in the further discussions. The point of discussion why this has been spoken about is within our understanding, that further when we read, we'll understand that how these things did not stop Kardama Muni. If this was not narrated, probably it would have been very easy to understand, okay, Kardama Muni also renounced. The greatness of Kardama Muni's renunciation is that all these things doesn't obstruct him. He was very clear in his consciousness that one day I will give up my family life. No matter whatever great is my family life is. So, further Prabhupada explains in this purport that how Kardama Muni's this marriage is a first class system of marriage. There are different types of marriages that is recognized in the Vedic or enumerated in the Vedic scriptures, specifically the Manusmriti, and even the Agni Purana also talks about the various kinds of marriage, various types or a system of marriage. There are 8 in numbers, as also Prabhupada has also confirmed the same in this purport. There are 8 forms of marriage mentioned in the scripture, Manusmriti. The first system is known as the Brahma system of marriage system, where in which system, the system is that the boy's family is invited to the girl's family and there is a discussion and they both agree to marry. Each one identifies their qualification. Based on that qualification, the parents in the family, they decide or agree, yes, I can give my girl to such and such girl, such and such boy. So it is the parents who are deciding. Finally, it is finalized by the parents. And such kind of system is called as Brahma system of marriage system. And in this system, Prabhupada also is talking here in the purport that when the Kanya Dana is done, it is said as Kanya Dana. The girl is offered as a charity to the boy. Dana means, and Dana is offered to a qualified person, not that an unqualified person Dana is made. We know that in Bhagavad Gita there is a conditions that talk about who is worthy to receive dana or to whom dana is to be made. Similarly, Kanya dana is also done to a qualified person. So a qualified boy is chosen and the Kanya is offered as a charity to that boy. And when the charity is done, Prabhupada is highlighting here, a dowry is also given. Unlike in the current scenario, dowry is considered as illegal. Dowry is not encouraged, or it is seen as a social evil. But in the Vedic scriptures, we see here that dowry was a very common phenomena. It's a common practice in the process of marriage system. Prabhupada also elsewhere he says that actually dowry is compulsory and it is legal. Although in the modern scenario, some people try to prove that dowry system is illegal and don't approve that and consider it as a social evil. But there is a reason behind that why dowry was given previously. That Prabhupada also talks about in this purport. The system of dowry actually recognized the goodwill of the father who is offering the dowry. So it was given out of the goodwill as a religious merit of the bride's father. So that means then what to do if the bride's father doesn't have suitable financial condition, then what has to be done? Is he supposed to borrow and give charity? No. Suppose if the father is not having suitable wealth with him, it is Prabhupada says, or elsewhere Prabhupada narrates, that at least he should give a fruit or a flower as a dowry. So then will the groom's family will be satisfied with just one fruit and flower? If today it has to be done, it will look like it is, teasing. But Prabhupada reasons that just like how Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is simply pleased by just offering a flower and fruit. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. So similarly, living entities also should be simply satisfied by a simple offering of fruit and flower. So the dowry system that is prevalent is based on some exploitation. Marriages sometimes would be performed with a lucrative dowry that may be received through the marriage process. So that was not the consideration when the marriage system was prevalent in the Vedic society, unless it was completely based on the goodwill and the pride of the bride's father. And it was not based on the financial condition of the father of the bride. So that was the system that was prevalent. And this kind of system is considered as the first class system, where the boy is invited to the family of the girl and all the family members sit together based on some Vedic standard. The decision is made and then acceptance of marriage is done. So this kind of system is called Brahma system, and this is considered as a topmost system. And the next system, there are totally 8 systems. The next system is considered as a Daiva system of marriage. In the Daiva system, if the father is not able to find a suitable boy, so in the Daiva system process of marriage, a priest who is conducting the fire sacrifice, as a charity, the girl is offered as a charity to the priest. This was a system that was prevalent. Probably it may not be heard in the common system, in the current scenario, but it was a system that was also prevalent. And the next system is Ashva system. In the Ashwa means a sage or a rishi. Sometimes a girl may be offered as a charity to the sage, and in return to simple offering of a cow and a bull. This kind of system might have been done. It is narrated in the Smritis that if someone doesn't have a suitable financial condition to get the marriage, and because doing a marriage requires a lot of financial disposition. So if someone doesn't have a proper financial system, then he can at least offer her daughter as a charity to a sage in return to a acceptance of a cow and a bull. So although it involves a transaction, it may not be considered as a best practice, but that system was prevalent. That is considered as one of the form of marriage system that was prevalent. Then there is a system called Asura system. Asura system of marriage. In the Asura system, a girl is offered to a person who is highly unqualified in return to a huge sum of father gives a dowry generally. Now the son's family will give hefty amount to the bride's family in return to a girl. So such kind of marriage is considered as Asura marriage, and that is not considered as a very great system of marriage, although it was prevalent. And the next system was the Gandharva system, which Prabhupada talks elaborately here in this purport. So Gandharva system involves the marriage is simply based on agreement between boy and the girl. The girl's parents doesn't select the boy and the girl. The girl and boy themselves select themselves based on agreement. Okay, I like you, you like me, we'll get married. So simply based on external attachment and desire for sensual enjoyment. In the common scenario, we see this, what they call it as a love marriage. So such kind of marriage is not considered as the best practice of marriage. Although it was prevalent, but that was not considered the best practice of marriage system. And the next system is considered as the Rakshasa system of marriage. Prabhupada also talks about that process. The Rakshasa system of marriage, the girl is kidnapped by the boy, sometimes even against her wish. And when the kidnap happens, so the bride's family also may retaliate. There may be a fight, there may be a quarrel, and in that quarrel sometimes many people may get wounded, maybe sometimes killed also. After all this ruckus, if the prince, this is majorly followed only by the Kshatriyas. This system of marriage was mainly prevalent among the Kshatriya families. And they had that chivalrous nature, they had that courage and strength, and hence this kind of system was prevalent. So, although the name mentioned is Rakshasa marriage, it doesn't mean that the person who is doing this process is Rakshasa. No, it doesn't mean. It is just a name that is given to the process. Just like there is something called, we have heard that Rakshasa Kula, Daitya Kula. So that necessarily doesn't mean that whoever has taken birth in family, they are all Rakshasas. We have example of great personalities like Bali Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj. They are considered among the Rakshasa families, but they are not per se are Rakshasas. So name of the classification not necessarily mean that they are tagged with that qualities. Similarly, the name suggested for the marriage system or the Rakshasa system of marriage not necessarily mean that person who is practicing that system or practice that system is a Rakshasa. Just like Prabhupada is giving the example of Krishna. Krishna himself employed this system of marriage. He kidnapped Mother Rukmini. Rukmini Devi wanted to marry Krishna. But his family members were trying to forcibly get her married to Shishupala. Although his father uh, was also in the favor, nonetheless, the elder brother of Rukma, was not in favor of getting Rukmini married to Krishna, but he wanted to get herself married to Rukma against her wish. But we know that Rukmini sent across a messenger, and Krishna comes down and kidnaps Rukmini Devi. In the process, there was a great fight between the family members of Bhishmaka, family, along with the Rukma and Shishupala. They all fought with Krishna, and finally Krishna was victorious, and Rukmini was finally married to Krishna. So that was a system that was prevalent. Similarly, Prabhupada gives another example of the Rakshasa system of marriage that happened in Krishna's family. Not even just Krishna, Krishna's son and Krishna's grandsons also had the similar style of getting married. So Krishna's grandson Samba also got married in a similar fashion. Samba wanted to marry daughter of Duryodhana. I think her name is Lakshmana, if I am correct. So Samba was a great chivalrous, exactly like Krishna, was powerful. He could defeat anyone in the battlefield, and he was son of Jambavati. And Krishna, like that, married many queens in return to a fight. Like Krishna married a daughter of Nagnajit, Mother Satya. There was a fight, and he had to control or subdue all the bulls, the 7 great bulls, ferocious bulls. And when he finally controlled the bull, all other people who were there in the Swayamvara, they all got against with Krishna, and Arjuna fought with them and finally defeated. Krishna again kidnaps another daughter of King Madra, Lakshmana. Her name is also Lakshmana. So he kidnaps her from a Swayamvara and gets himself married with Lakshmana. So like that, we see many examples. Just like Samba, he also kidnapped daughter of Duryodhana. And when Samba was so powerful that he alone could fight with all the Kaurava armies, all the great kings, and defeat them, and he would take the daughter of Duryodhana from the palace. But in retaliation, when they understood that Samba is so powerful that he cannot be subdued in one go, so all the Kaurava Shians, they together gathered, and in one go all were attacking Swambha. So looks like this was nothing new for Kauravas. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, we saw that how all the Kurus, great generals, they assembled and defeated Abhimanyu, which was against the Kshatriya spirit. We can see that this was something done even earlier also, even before the Kurukshetra war. That all the Kuru family members, they together fought with Samba against the Kshatriya principles and defeated him and captured and arrested him. Now Balarama got to know about this. Balarama wanted to save the situation, but Balarama somehow did not want to retaliate. Unlike in many other cases, there was retaliation and there was a result out of that. Because Kauravas were related to Balarama's family, Krishna's family, so they did not want to retaliate and get back Sambha and Lakshmana. So Balarama tries to bring a pacification, tries to bring a truce. But when Balarama, it is narrated in the Bhagavatam, that when Balarama comes to the palace of Kurus, he was so nicely treated. Of course, Balarama was also teacher of Duryodhana, so naturally that respect was there. But as soon as Balarama proposed, why he actually came? So they were all enraged with the proposal. Balarama proposed that Samba should be given back. because for the reason that Samba was not defeated or captured on a lawful means. It was not against it was against the Kshatriya spirit. So Samba should be released immediately. This was the proposal of Balarama. But as soon as they heard of this proposal, they were all got against Balarama. All those good treatment that was given, suddenly it became opposite. So when they were refused, because they felt that the Kurus felt that they were the emperors, because Hastinapura was ruled by the emperors, and for various reasons, Krishna or the Yadu Vamshas or the Vrishnis, they were all subordinate kings of Hastinapura. So naturally, they felt that they are superior, and how could they be advised by Balarama, who is considered as inferior in the arrangement of the kingly arrangement that was there that time. So Balarama was also angry against this rejection. So Balarama wanted to teach them a lesson. So immediately he took his plow and wanted to drag down the entire Hastinapura city to Yamuna. So that was the power of Balarama. Balarama was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Although someone may forget, the Kurus forgot that Balarama is Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is a superpower. He is a Balarama. So as soon as this could happen, then all the Kurus realized that there is a great danger. That just like Yamuna refused to come to Balarama, when Balarama wanted to perform Rasa Yatra, so he invited Yamuna to come to be part of and make facility for participation in the Rasa Yatra. So Yamuna refused to come, thinking that Balarama is intoxicated. But moment Balarama took the plow out and tried to drag Yamuna forcefully, then Yamuna realized that she forgot Balarama as a supreme person. So similarly, Kuru also realized, Duryodhana realized that Balarama is none other than Supreme Person himself, and they immediately brings Lakshmana and Samba and pacifies, and then the marriage happens. So that was a system. That was a kind of system that was prevalent. That was a Rakshasa system that was there. And another system of marriage is the Paishacha system. The Paishacha system of marriage, where the girl is offered as a charity to a boy, even against her wish, or under a circumstances where she is not in a suitable condition to get married. So such kind of system is not considered as a worthy system. So Prabhupada summarizes that the Daiva system of marriage is considered as the top class system of marriage system. And Prabhupada also says in the purport that the other system of marriage in the age of Kali is not suitable. It is forbidden. For the reason that just like when the Kshatriyas used to practice the Rakshasa system of marriage, they had their qualification. The Kshatriyas had that quality of a Kshatriya. They had that power, they had the chivalrous nature. But in the age of Kali, there are no qualified Brahmanas, there are no qualified Kshatriyas or the Vaishyas. So naturally, it is not possible, it is not practical to follow the other system of marriage, and hence it is forbidden. And another reason why such system is forbidden is because Prabhupada says, in the age of Kali, everyone is considered as Shudra. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. Anyone who, in the age of Kali, everyone is considered as a Shudra. Why? Because in the age of Kali, we practically don't see people practicing any process of samskara. It is by process of samskara actually one becomes qualified. In the absence of samskara, say for example, a before conceiving a child, Garbhadhana Samskara is practiced. Irrespective of whether they are Brahmana, Kshatriya or a Vaishya, anyone who wants to conceive a child, they are supposed to observe this samskara, which is known as Garbhadhana Samskara, so that the child who is going to appear, he may be a worthy child. But in absence of such samskaras, the child which comes out is considered a big, in absence of such samskara, it is considered as a Shudra. By birth, because there is no qualification, because the child becomes unworthy, so such kind of progeny or such kind of child is considered as by Janma is Shudra. That's why Shastra says Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth, why someone is called Shudra? Because there is no proper system followed in the process of procreation. So the child which is begotten is considered as by birth Shudra. But samskarat bhave dvijaha, still by practicing samskara, one can become dvija. But formally in the Vedic tradition, we can see that when such kind of system are very prevalent, everyone would follow the process of samskara. That's why by birth, anyone can be considered as Brahmana because the proper process was followed. So hence by birth, there is a qualification of a Brahmana. By birth, there was a qualification of a Kshatriya. By birth, there was a qualification of a Vaishya. So that qualification was there right from the birth because a proper process was followed. In absence of that, by birth, one cannot be considered as a Brahmana, Kshatriya or a Vaishya, which we see today in the current scenario. Although we may not follow the process, but just because we have a birth in the family of a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, they may consider themselves to be a Brahmana, the Kshatriya, which is not accepted under the understanding of Bhagavata. So that was the consideration that was prevalent, which was not possible, which is not acceptable in the age of Kali. The other system of marriages is not acceptable. But the system what Kardama Muni followed is a system which is accepted under the understanding of which is recognized by the Vedic scriptures. Because Kardama Muni was a qualified person, he was a trained brahmachari. He performed austerities and he was regulated in his senses and he was qualified brahmachari. He was trained as a brahmachari, hence he is qualified to take up grahastha ashrama. So anyone who wants to take up family life, he has to be a qualified brahmachari. But converse need not be true. Not necessarily if someone is a qualified brahmachari, well trained, not necessarily he has to enter into a grahastha family. But for someone who wants to take up grahastha life, for him, it is very must and should that he has to be qualified. Because in absence of such training, if someone takes up to a grahastha life, his grahastha life will also be in a soup. So, whether it is a brahmacharya life or a grahastha life, any life which is taken, it is the system is that one has to accept that for the reason that one has to advance in spiritual life. The selection of ashrama is not done for some social reasons. For some, say suppose someone wants to stick on to the brahmacharya life. It is not for the sake of social ego to say that yes, I am a best brahmachari. No, it is not meant for that. Any ashrama, whether it is a brahmacharya ashrama or a grahastha ashrama, the purpose is to advance in spiritual life. A brahmachari advances without accepting a family life. A grahastha accepts, tries to advance in spiritual life by accepting a family life. So it cannot be, one cannot take up any ashrama for the sake of some social pleasure. That is to be understood. So there is a higher reason why someone sticks on to any ashrama. But whatever the reason is, whatever the ashrama is, that the purpose is that one desires to, one's desire or one's endeavor to advance in spiritual life continues. And Kardama Muni's system of marriage, which he ensured here, is considered as a topmost system. Although he had a desire to take up family life, but his desire to get into family life was not for the sake of sensual enjoyment. And like today, we see marriage is mainly conducted with the understanding of marriage is, the intention of marriage is, yes, I can get into sensual enjoyment through the process of marriage. But although Kardama Muni had a desire to take up family life, but it was not based on the sensual, with the anticipation of the sensual pleasures. It had a higher reason. It had a confidential reason why he took up the family life. Although Shastra also says that, as I said, that Ata Sutapta Graha, with someone who takes up family lives, he gets into the chain of these nexus. But still, Kardama Muni took up this process because he was ordered by Brahma to progenate. And second reason is that Lord himself is going to appear as a son of Kardama Muni. So there were some internal reason also why Kardama Muni had to take up the family life. It was not based on some material calculation. It had a spiritual purpose, and all this arrangement was done under the first class system of marriage system. That's what we understand from the teachings of Prabhupada in this purport, and that's what we see here. That has happened here, and that's what we understand here. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada.